Hello lovely viewers, welcome to yet another exciting edition of Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. This show comes to you every Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays on Studios 2 TV, on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Coming up on today's edition, all work at courts across the country grinds to a halt as Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana begin a nationwide indefinite strike protesting their poor working conditions. They have accused the president of failing to sign off recommendations from the Judicial Council, which has, amongst other things, recommended improvement in their working conditions. Ahead in today's show, we hear from the Judicial Staff Association of Ghana and bring you expert analysis as to what exactly all of this means, particularly if you have a case pending in court. And much later, the governing New Patriotic Party, they have pegged the next presidential primaries at 50,000 cedis. Yes, if you're interested to lead the country on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, prepare to pay 50,000 cedis as the party opens nomination to find a replacement for President Akufo-Addo as a leader of the party. Details of these and a lot more if you stay with us here on Let's Talk Ghana. We're back shortly. You're welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. This show, like I mentioned, airs Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I am Eric Mawina Egbeta. Let's get into the details as we have it for you today on the show. And work across courts all around the country has come to a halt. That's because the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, the group responsible for all of the activities in the court, bar being the ones to pass judgment in whatever case has been brought before the third arm of government, they've declared a nationwide indefinite strike. What are their concerns? Well, they, amongst many things, say that the president has failed to sign off improved working conditions as captured in the recommendation of the Judicial Council. They've been on this crusade for quite a while, hoping to have the president approve of these recommendations. Then the second thing they raise concerns about is the removal of the cost of living allowance. They had issued earlier reminders warning of deciding to embark on this industrial action. In fact, they've written to the Labour Commission expressing misgivings at the president's, what they say is his refusal to grant them the salary improvement, and hence pegged Thursday, the 25th of May as day to kickstart that protest. Unfortunately, there's been no response from either of the government agencies and the presidency to their demands. Let's just take you back to that news conference they held late on Wednesday, where they announced the indefinite strike. Samuel Afote Otu, he is the executive secretary or the leader of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana. Let's listen to him.
By approving and paying our salaries with all the arrears from January to date. All staff are also to know the following. The security men and women are to stay at post, but make sure that all entrances to the court and other offices are locked to prevent entry into the court or any premises of the service. All drivers are directed to hand over their official vehicles in their custody to the transport department. No driver shall drive any office vehicle or any officer or any jet during the period of the trial. No court registrar, I repeat, no court registrar should or be compelled to open any registry or court for use during the period of the trial. Regional Executive Board and committee members of DUSA are to be on the lookout to ensure compliance, same as SADU executives. If any staff of the service receive any treatment from any management member to report to work or perform any official duty during the strike, shall decline same and report the matter to DUSA. Let no one in government or management unlawfully coerce any staff or intimidate staff during the strike. If any member is inflicted with any injustice in this course, we shall deem it as all members have been inflicted. Consequently, we shall respond in equal proportion.
Now, Samuel Aforte Otu is the president of the Judicial Services Workers Association of Ghana, speaking at that news conference late on Wednesday night. And they did take action yesterday, where they, amongst many other things, kept all court activities at bay. There's been a reaction from the Labour Commission. They are responsible for resolving disputes between workers and their employers, and so the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, their employers are the government of Ghana, and so the Labour Commission will be responding to these and seeking to resolve it. The Executive Secretary of the Labour Commission, Ofusua Samuel, has been reacting, and he's expressed disappointment at the decision by the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana to resolve to an industrial action. He's been speaking to journalists in the capital, Accra. Let's hear exactly what he's been saying.
They were here yesterday. They pleaded for the case to be stood down whilst their counsel is on his way coming. So the commission stood it down to wait for counsel. Unfortunately, when we recalled the case and they said they were coming, we called for the third time and they had descended, so we sent for them. And all we could hear was that they had left, rather went and declared a strike.
Oh. Are you disappointed? Is the commission disappointed?
A surprise, not only disappointed, but very surprising. They are in the courts, so if lawyers appear before the courts, request for a case to be stood down before, because their lawyer is on the way. The judge calls the case later. All to hear is that the plaintiff or the defendant or whoever the party is in the case has gone and taken the law into his own hands. You can imagine what will happen. It's unfortunate, but especially when they did not only declare a strike, but made allegations against the commission, that the commission was in bed with the government, just because the government party had not appeared at the time. There are several times where cases go to court and parties don't appear.
Yeah.
It's an invitation, it's a sermon. The party can decide to appear or not. Except that if he doesn't, what are the next steps that should be taken to compel them to attend, to do the case without them, or have the case struck out? And these are things that they are privy to in knowledge that one would have ordinarily expected, that they will be patient, especially where in this case they are the applicant to say that stand the case down, we are waiting for our counsel. It's unfortunate. Anyway.
Now what will the commission do now?
Yes, we are here to take a decision. It's just happened. We heard of the declaration whilst we were still sitting. Yesterday, we sat late into the night, up to about 8:30 p.m.
Just waiting for them?
No, there were other cases we were hearing. But as at 8 p.m., nobody had come. We are closed for the day. We have come today. So the commission, and effectively their strike is today.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are waiting to see what step next to take.
Is it like you summon them again?
Oh, certainly the case must be settled, so we can't wait that because they have declared a strike, and at the end of the day, Ghanaians are suffering. There are people who are in detention, on remand, or have other cases for which they would have got their relief and freedom today. But because of their action, all those who were to be released today will have to go back to prison. And I listened to the declaration of the strike, and at the tail end of it was that the security men should remain and make sure the courts are closed and courtrooms locked up. I'm wondering in TV3, if your salaries are not good and you want to go on strike to protest for a variation in salary and increment or better conditions, do you go and lock up TV3, studios and the whole premises? Should that be the practice? If I work at Labour Commission, my conditions are not good. I've written to management and the commissioners, and I want to declare a strike by failing to work. And assuming I come and lock up the whole of National Labour Commission so that nobody has access to the office. Those who want to work, those who have cases here and other things. Will you be happy? Is it right? Anyway, I leave it to the best judgment of themselves.
Atofoswa Samoa, he's the Executive Secretary of the Labour Commission. Let's get some more analysis on this for you, the standoff between the Judicial Service staff and government. We've been joined on the telephone line by Abraham Yale. He is a Labour consultant. He's joined us this morning for a conversation. Mr. Yale, many thanks for speaking to us. And so, on face value, it does appear that these staff of the Judicial Service have a case against the government since there's been recommendations for an improvement in their working conditions. How does the government begin to work around the clock to have them return to work?
You see, good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Thank you for having me. I'm of the view that it seems the parties from onset have failed to negotiate. Because if the parties have the faith to negotiate in good faith, as per the law, I don't think we should get to this level. They have judicial council. The judicial council has made some recommendation to the employer. I wouldn't mention the president as an individual, but I would mention the president as the employer. He's the employer, the government, in this case, the government. And the Judicial Council recommendation, I believe that we can term it as proposal. They sent a proposal to the employer for them to negotiate. Just engage them and see what, proposal or Judicial Council recommendation, it is not cast in stone and it's not finality to the matter. It is a way to engage the party to negotiate so that at the tail end, all of them will mutually agree on certain areas that they need to agree and certain areas that they disagree. And when you read the write-up, you realize that the JUSAC, they've even written to Labour Commission. And for me, the Labour Commission should have intervened to, stop this strike action. It is still not lost. I believe the employer can still engage them. The law is saying that we cannot, you don't strike when there's negotiations.
So you have to come off the strike.
Yeah, you have to come off. So for them to come or go back to, their workplace, is for the employer to engage them.
But you have expressed disappointment in the fact that there's not been negotiations. Would you say there's been disappointment on the part of the Labour Commission, because they've been reacting to this, and by themselves, the Executive Secretary for Samoa says he's disappointed in the decision by JUSAC to embark on the strike, but they didn't engage.
You see, the law is saying that the Labour Commission, you notify when it comes to legal strike. I have a problem with indefinite strike that they've declared. The law is saying you can strike for 7 days. And within 7 days, Labour Commission should put in measures to ensure that they come to table and negotiate, or you go for arbitration, either voluntary arbitration or compulsory arbitration. But the Labour Commission has to intervene to ensure that at least they will not be the strike will not be in perpetuity.
Right.
Yeah, So if Ofosia Samoa thinks that the strike that the JUSA have embarked on is illegal strike, then he has to go to court and stop it.
But you mentioned that the recommendation of the Judicial Council was merely advice, and that negotiations should have kick-started in earnest.
For me, I would term it as proposal. I would term it as proposal. Because you can't put something on nothing.
But considering
you can't go to your employer and say increase my pay. You need to come out with a proposal. That is the relationship between the employer, the unionized organizations and the employer. You see, every year you table your proposals based on certain parameters.
Right.
Then the employer will also look at it and say, okay, then let's sit down and negotiate. And even in the proposal, you even, fix a date. You propose a date in your proposal. The date for negotiation, in your own view, But the employer can also come out with a counter proposal that you say you want 2 cedis, but this is what I can give.
Right.
Then that gives the opportunity for them to hold discuss at the negotiation table.
But considering these dates as far back as January of almost last year, what I'm reading from their statement, it's been quite a lengthy time for them to have been taken seriously enough. It presupposes workers not being taken in the seriousness that they deserve.
Yeah, which is why the workers have now been pushed to the wall to strike. Because they are of the view that the employer doesn't respect them. I mean, that is what I can say. They are of the view that the employer calls the employer from them, and they don't respect them. And the only language the employer may understand is to embark on strike action, which is legitimate. It's their right to do so. However, it must be done lawfully.
Right.
It has to be done lawfully.
So just briefly, going forward, they'll have to call off the strike and then begin to engage the Labour Commission.
What they have to, the Labour Commission will intervene,
right,
and bring the parties together to start the negotiations, to start the engagement.
How soon
so that
should this
they
happen?
can call off the strike.
Right, because we visited courts across the country, and people came from far and wide seeking to. Someone was even expecting their case to be heard, judgment to be delivered today, and there was no sitting. They don't even know what's going to happen. Considering all of that, how soon should all of these come together?
It should be immediate. You see, justice delays, justice deny. Our court system is adversarial.
Right.
And it takes a while to, I say the wheel of justice also grinds slowly. Therefore, if this strike action will prolong or elongate your case, then it will become expensive. Right. Because in this case, some people who have hired the service of lawyers, will be deported, and people have to sometimes travel. If your case is at an appeals court, which is not all over the country, you need to travel to Accra or go to maybe Cape Coast or go to Seedru. It will be very difficult for the litigants to pursue some of these issues, and that will make it expensive for them for their future cases.
Right then, Mr. Yale, I appreciate that you could speak to us.
I'm most grateful.
That's Abraham Yale. He is a labor analyst engaging us this morning here on Let's Talk Ghana on the situation and what should be done. It says that the Labour Commission must intervene immediately, go beyond the disappointment that they are expressing, and seek to address the matter and intervene quickly. Mr. Yale sought to paint a picture as to exactly what will happen to clients should this strike persist any further. I put that question to a private legal practitioner, Vitus Bang, who is a lawyer and so will understand what this really means for you as an ordinary Ghanaian if judicial service workers are not working. And here's exactly what he says can happen, particularly if you have a case in court.
It's quite frustrating for lawyers and other court users to turn up in court and to not have the opportunity of working because the judicial service staff workers are on strike. Of course, the judicial service staff play an integral role in the administration of justice, where they are needed in every step of the way. If you want to file any document in court, you need to get that done by the court clerks. So if they are not present, it means that you cannot file any process. You cannot initiate or institute a new case because the staff of the court are not present. If you have a case, you are also unable to go on with your case because the critical staff that assist the justice delivery system are clearly absent. So even if the judges are willing to sit and on cases, they are unable to do so because these critical staff that assist in the justice administration are absent. So, for instance, if a judge even shows up, the chance that he will have access to his court or to his, let's say, office or chamber is very unlikely that such an opportunity will be afforded the judge. So it essentially keeps everything at bay. I mean, no processes can be filed, no courts can sit, because these judicial service staff, they are very integral in the justice administration process. So, yes, to conclude, it is frustrating. It only means that a lot more cases will be delayed. For instance, if a case was
that's extra cost for.
Yes, that comes with extra cost, of course. And for instance, if a case was to be heard today and the courts are not open at all, then it means that the parties in court may not even get the opportunity of being given a new date to reappear or a date for adjournment. They will not get that. So it means that another process will have to be initiated when the judicial service staff resume work, and for hearing notices to be issued to the relevant parties, and all of this comes at a cost, and also would further delay the justice dispensation process.
Right.
So all of these are things that are reasonably expected to happen.
So Vitus Bank there, and the hope really, particularly for many who have cases in court, is that this can be resolved as quickly as possible to make way for the wheel of justice as we know it to continue to grind as slowly as it can. The prayer will be that it will quicken a bit for individuals who have cases in the court. When we return from this short break, the governing New Patriotic Party says if you want to be a presidential flag bearer for them, you need to call 50,000 cedis as nomination forms for nomination forms before you can even begin to go around the country to campaign to the many delegates. We're back shortly to go into those matters. Stay with us. You're welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana here on Cedis 2 Television. This is the show where we put Ghana first in all of our conversations. I am Eric Mawina Egbert. And so just before we went on the break, I was talking to you about the governing New Patriotic Party and its opening of nominations for its presidential and parliamentary primaries. They issued a statement yesterday, the 25th of May 2023. I'll walk you through that statement and let you know exactly what it means. And so it's going to come up on your screens now. And so there you have it. The governing New Patriotic Party, its National Executive Committee, the NEC, and then National Council, they held meetings on Monday, April 3rd, 2023, and approved the following timelines. And so the nomination of forms is today, Friday, May 26th, 2023, and the closing of nominations will be on Saturday, June 24, 2023. This is where all individuals who are interested in being flag bearers, interested in being members of parliament, that's the window to which you can go and pick forms to become a flag bearer. And so for flag bearers, the key names: Alan Tremantin, Dr. Baumia, Kennedy Japon, Kwabene Jakon, and the likes. They are the individuals who can go and begin to pick forms for that particular slot. And then there will be special electoral college elections, if any. That's to elect individuals who then proceed to vote on who becomes the party's next flag bearer. That will happen on Saturday, August 26th. And then the National Congress, which will see the elections, is on Saturday, November 4th. And we here at Cedis 2 Television will be there to bring you live details as well. And so that statement just continues that pursuant to the council timeline, the party thereby announces the opening of nomination forms and shall be obtained from the office of the General Secretary at the party's headquarters, Asylum Down, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday. And consequently, an aspiring presidential candidate shall obtain the nomination forms after payment of a non-refundable nomination fee of 50,000 Ghana cedis through a banker's draft issued to the New Patriotic Party national headquarters, Accra, as payee. And the party is determined to hold a free, fair, transparent, and peaceful presidential primary election and urges all stakeholders to help make this a reality. Signed by Justin Frimpong Kodia. He's the General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party. They are seeking to break the 8, and so that's where you have it there. That's how we'll end today's edition of Let's Talk Ghana. On Monday, when we return, there'll be further analysis as and when necessary on a lot more matters that will be emanating from this. The Vice President, Dr. Baumia, he's met majority MPs, made his intent known, and so we'll be looking for that official declaration. Alan Germantin's done his already, but that's our show, like I mentioned, for you today on here. Let's Talk Ghana here on Cedis 2 Television. We return on Monday with a lot more. I am Eric Mawina Egbeta. Enjoy your weekend and do stay safe.
Studios 2 TV. The truth is here, in your eyes.